It's a shabby show. It's a shabby.
All right, well, welcome everyone to a special edition of the Jank Tank. I'm your boy Sid, and I'm joined as always by Buzz. What's going on, Buzz?
Oh, just sitting outside, enjoying the California sunshine and a latte, and it's a good day.
Yeah, it is. It is unseasonably hot down here in Southern California. I'm sure it's just seasonably hot up there in Northern California.
Well,
But
I'm sitting in this shade,
that's good.
and our outerwear sponsor Patagonia is mailing me a couple fall clothing items. So I hope it gets cold and I can
Excellent.
wear them.
Yeah, I'm expecting a package as well. It was time to expand my wardrobe for work starting later this month, so I was excited to have an excuse to make a few sale purchases or special purchases. So yeah, I'm also expecting a package from our sponsors, Patagonia.
If you're listening, Patagonia, make it a reality and not a joke.
That's right. Please, please. We'll put your logo on something. We'll figure out how to do that just to get it there. So today, Buzz and I are getting together to bring you a couple of decks and a game that's going to pit these two decks against each other, because why not? Then we can just see both of them kind of in action. But with the news of Velardo Harris and some of the cards that have been coming out in the last few packs, we both kind of had different ideas, but similar, for revisiting the concept of Voltron. And if you're not familiar with the Voltron archetype, it kind of just means focusing on a character and kind of superpowering them with as many abilities, attachments as you can, and then using that character just to kind of pummel your opponent into the ground. So the first deck that you can see on your screen there, if you're watching and not just listening, is the Mountain on the Wall. So it takes a Night's Watch deck and banners it to Lannister in order to try and kind of achieve this Voltron. Now, I'll talk a little bit about why this is kind of a slightly different Voltron deck. Most Voltron decks are all about kind of offensive powerhouses, but I wanted to try and balance it a little bit and see if I could create an offensive / kind of defensive powerhouse. And what better house to do that than with Night's Watch, right? And what better character to kind of Voltron up than Gregor? And I thought, what if we could find a way to get all of Night's Watch, their great defense standing tech, and apply it to Gregor, right? Get all the icons on Gregor, allow him to participate in multiple challenges, offensive and defensive, if you need him to. You're triggering his pillage, you're hopefully getting those extra kills off of him, and you're getting all that renown. So let's start and look at the characters, right? Where is he? There's Gregor right there, front and center. Of course, he's kind of the centerpiece. But what I found, and you can chime in here, Buzz, see if I'm right or if I'm crazy. If you rely too much on one character, what generally happens in your Voltron decks?
Yeah, you don't want to rely too much on one character. That's for sure. This is Game of Thrones. There are too many ways to control a single character, and we don't have enough draw or tutor to ensure that you start that game with that character. So I play Lord of the Rings card game, and you start with 3 heroes in play, and that makes it very easy to Voltron in that game because you know who you're starting with. And in this game, you got to draw them, you got to find them, and you got to pay for them. And then what do you do if they die? You got to have that plan B. Do you have a plan B in your deck, Lucas?
I do have a plan B, and it's in the form of Jon Snow, the new Jon Snow from the Watchers on the Wall box. And the reason why he really makes such a good Voltron is because he's got 6 strength, right? Just native 6 strength, which is great. He's got stealth, which is something you always like to see on a Voltron character. And he's got a built-in stand on both offense and defense, which is kind of what I was trying to do with Gregor. So in the few games that I've played, if I actually get Jon going first, I kind of switch gears to him being the focus of the deck. But if he gets controlled, if they manage to kind of get a Varys and then a Marched and he's gone, I'm usually kind of back-ending my Gregor pieces for just that eventuality. You want your Voltron deck to be versatile enough to where if your opponent expends a lot of resources and takes down your tower, that you've kind of been secretly building a second tower just on the other side of the hill, right? And you pop it up and you're ready to go. Ideally, that's how it works. I'm not naive enough to think I'm just going to throw a big guy down, marshalling turn 1, and they're not going to be controlled or reset or killed somehow over the course of the game. I think it's important to have that backup, right? To have a way to keep your big guys around, but also if everything just goes to hell, you can throw a different guy out there, right? If they manage to somehow pluck Gregor heads on spikes turn 1 and then get a second copy into my dead pile by some other means, like the Dothraki Crone or something. I want to be able
plays
to
that garbage.
Nobody. But if it happens, right, then I want to be able to then say, okay, this is not the end of the world. Like Jon can be my new Gregor. And if you kind of look at the other characters, there's things that support that. You look at like Gilly in the deck. Now at first you're like, Gilly, well, what does Jon need stealth for? He's already got it. But with these cards in this deck, she can give that stealth to Gregor. And if Gregor's not there to give the stealth to, she can give it to any steward that I have. And what's great about Night's Watch is their stewards, their reducers, are Intrigue. The Lannister ones, Lannisport merchants, which are also stewards, they're power icons. So it gives me the ability to drop stealth on guys, right? Gregor, ideally, but there's a backup plan. I can put it on my chuds and actually get through some really helpful stealth. And that works if they're just kind of going along with my Voltron character. Gren is in there. Gren and Pip, obviously, they're
so
designed.
good in this deck.
So good.
Say that real quick?
Gren especially, right? He just makes you go so fast. Like your opponent has to do something about Jon and Gren or Gregor and Gren, or else you're just going to win in a couple plots. Because just getting 2 extra power every military challenge is too much to deal with.
Yeah, so this might be a decent time to talk about how important Sworn to the Watch is to the deck, because that, of course, adds to Gregor that Night's Watch affiliation. And so when you're looking at a thing like Gren, where he's adding to a Night's Watch character, that Sworn to Gregor is going to make Gregor able to receive that benefit.
Absolutely.
If you can get a seal on the hand on him and stand him up in between, that's even better. And in Jon attacking with Gren, you can trigger Jon's reaction first to stand him, because he's a wildling, and then Gren's reaction second. So both of them kind of designed to get that double power pull with Gren.
Right.
So Sworn to the Watch is certainly something you're looking for very early in the game, ideally on your setup hand, in fact.
Yeah, if I've got Gregor out there, right, I want it on him as soon as possible. There are a couple other characters that I think you'll see are interesting as we talk about it, that Sworn to the Watch can really help kind of supercharge the deck a little bit. Moving through some other choices, I do have 2 Halder in there. The first iteration of the deck didn't have any Halder because I just didn't have enough Night's Watch attachments. All I really had was the 3 Sworn to the Watch. And then I came to my senses and realized I should be running Craven also. So I fit in 3 Craven. And once you have 6 Night's Watch attachments, and of course a few locations also, normally I'm not going to want to kneel my locations for Halder's ability, but 6 attachments felt like enough to make Halder worth it. Halder being able to boost Night's Watch characters, which of course will boost anyone with Sworn to the Watch once I get that on there. And Sworn to the Watch can be used as the boost, right? So they kind of work in tandem. Master Aemon, of course, the save one is essential, not only because he's great, he can save your Jon Snow, but with Sworn to the Watch, he can save Gregor, right? Which is really, really good. It's that extra protection. You need to protect your big Voltron characters, or else there's no point in really running. There's no point in focusing so much on them if you don't have multiple ways to keep them safe. Oh, what do we have? Oh, Messenger Ravens, because they're awesome and you need draw, and they provide super consistent, constant draw. Without them, the deck probably wouldn't have a whole lot of legs. You'd be relying on a lot of variants, whereas they really help to kind of keep your engine flowing, right? You just keep getting more attachments. If they discard your attachments, you get more. If they get rid of some of your characters, you're always getting more. It really helps. Messenger Ravens do. Pip's like Gren, right? Instead of power, though, he's going to give you more card draw. Great with Jon. great with Gregor once you get him sworned up and once you have ways to stand him, like through Seal and through the plots, which we can talk about shortly. Let's see. Corn Halfhand is in there just as a one of. He's not really meant to be Voltroned. Obviously, he's no attachment, so you're not going to be able to do a whole lot to him in making him more survivable. But you do have Master Aemon to help out. There's a few other ways that you can keep him alive. He's kind of like a third option, or if you're pretty sure your opponent is not playing heavy reset, he's just a great piece to go along with your others, right? He's renowned, he speeds you up, he gets that extra little kill if you're having a hard time clearing their board. I think he's a great one of in this deck. And he's not leading the charge, but just a great support piece. Let's see, anything else interesting? Satin. I think Satin's great. Now,
Satin, yeah. I was like, you got to talk about Satin.
yeah, right. He's a little bit of a combo piece. One obvious play is obviously using him to get an extra use out of Master Aemon, right? You kneel Satin during an intrigue challenge, and that gives you, if you've already used your Aemon to save somebody, it gives you the ability to use him again. But if you can get that intrigue icon on Gregor and he's sworn to the watch, suddenly you have another way to stand Gregor. But not just him, he can work on other characters as well, because with sworn to the watch, anyone with an intrigue icon is gaining that steward trait, which brings me to a fun little character in this deck, and that's Sir Lancel. I love Sir Lancel in this deck. He's just a one of. It's not like you're counting on him. He's not the centerpiece of your deck. But if you've got Gregor out there, suddenly Sir Lancel is just almost as good as Gregor, right? The only thing missing is the pretty killer ability and the renown, obviously. But he's a 10 strength military intrigue icon. You drop Sworn to the Watch on him, and you're getting all those Night's Watch fun abilities. You're getting the ability to grab stealth, you can save him, you can stand him and use him on defense with Castle Black. He is actually a great secondary target if you've already got one Sworn to the Watch out. So if you're thinking, you know, once you get one Sworn to the Watch, what's the point of having these extras? There are places to put them and get a lot of mileage out of this attachment. I really love it for that reason. Sworn to the Watch can be great. I've got Ilan Payne in there because he's good and you want to kill characters. The Tickler just kind of rounding out my 12 card necessity for running Banner. He's not much of a boss, though I have used Sworn to the Watch on the Tickler and gotten some good out of it, making him a steward and getting like a random stealth Tickler to win an intrigue challenge when I really needed to. He can be a fun surprise to swear to the Watch. You wouldn't think the Tickler would be the kind of man they would want at the wall, but the wall takes all kinds.
He's
right?
exactly the kind of man.
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
wall
I guess you're right.
Maybe they don't want him, but they're stuck with him.
It's just from his art, you know. He looks like he's about to castrate someone, or it looks like he just did castrate someone. So he's always giving me the heebie-jeebies. All right, you'll probably notice there's no events in this deck at all, and there were. But the more I played it, the more I wanted to see the consistent pieces that fuel the kind of Voltron, and there's just the events don't do that. Events can help you get some powerful effects once your kind of character is all beefed up. But I found getting them beefed up and letting their inherent abilities just work for you was more important. So we dropped events. And it's actually worked out. I've found that Hand's Judgment is really, really popular these days. And I'm running into a lot of them. And it's just been fun watching dead cards sit in opponents' hands while playing this little deck. So we've got Appointed to get intrigue icons on Gregor. Now, I went for Appointed. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't you talk about the distinction between Appointed and Little Bird a little bit?
So it's minor. It's small. The only difference is I don't really have non-unique characters that I want to add an intrigue icon to, or can. The only real characters would be like, you know, a Lannister Merchant or a Burned Man. I'm just not going to be dropping a Little Bird on those guys. So Appointed, it's the same cost. It gives you the same addition of an intrigue icon. It's limited to unique characters, but it's a title attachment and not a condition attachment, right? So a lot of those condition attachment things, like you know, our boy Maester Crescent.
Maester Crescent.
Crescent, right? You don't want to get caught up in him who can just kind of discard your stuff at will. Now, there's other things, of course, that can be discarded with Crescent, but you really want to get at least a second icon on Gregor to get him rolling. You don't need all 3, I've found, with this deck, but 2 is pretty critical. So I kind of valued the title version a little more. There is no small council tech, but it would be cool if there was. Some bodyguards for survivability, some cravens to try to stop some of my opponent's power characters from attacking, therefore kind of freeing up my Voltrons to attack when I want them to. They can go defensive, but you don't want to have to go defensive, right? You want to be able to kind of shut down maybe a couple power characters on your opponent's side and free up Gregor to run rabid. Noble Lineage are great. Get those power icons on Gregor, but also on Jon Snow. And make Jon Snow a Tricon is pretty awesome. Seal, get Gregor standing. And of course, Sworn to the Watch, we've talked about that. The locations are pretty straightforward. Castle Black to get multiple use out of characters on defense. Or just use them once on defense so they're free to hit back on offense. Great Halls, even though there are only kind of 2 big characters that we're focusing on here, there are some other one-of supports like Ilyn, like Quarren, that I think are worth it. And there's so many unique characters in this deck, I felt like Great Halls were a good call. The Eerie is in there for more protection. But if you don't need it, the Eerie I found is really versatile. I mean, this is not news to anyone, but using the Eerie to choose a Chud when your opponent's board is small, when you know you can win the military against them, to force them to kill one of their big guys, even just to drop a dupe off of one of their big guys, can be really beneficial. Most of the time you're going to use it to support your own characters and to set yourself up for a great reset, right? Like if you're going to Valor, you know you have to Valor, it's getting towards the end of your plot cycle. You know, shore up your big guy so you're sure, right? Give yourself that peace of mind going into the plot phase.
And a souped up Sir Gregor is amazing on a Valor turn, even if you have no claim.
Right?
He's just winning the challenges on the small board, written down, and his effect.
And maybe getting a couple kills too, yeah. And Rose Road and Vault, of course, just for the money. So let's look at plots real quick. I feel like I've been talking a long time about this relatively simple deck. But the plots are pretty straightforward. Building orders, I'm running 14 attachments, 13 locations, right? Nearly half the deck. You want to see the attachments you need to see. So building orders is really not an opener. It's that kind of once you've got your character out and you're going, you're like, okay, what's missing here? What do I need to solidify my position? Maybe it's an Eerie, maybe it's a Castle Black because you haven't seen it yet. Maybe you're getting hounded by somebody else, so you just need to find a Craven. More often than not, though, it's just to grab an Appointed or a Seal or a Sworn. Those are kind of the 3 that I hope to see. And if you don't see any of them, you're going to see them soon. There's enough draw, but it can kind of get it right when you need it and give yourself a chance to deal with whatever it is your opponent's throwing at you. Close call is like there's so much protection built in here for your big characters, but even then sometimes it breaks down, right? It breaks down. Your opponent ends up with like double Dracarys on a Blood of the Dragon turn, and you just didn't have the pieces to get your character strength high enough, and they're going to eat it. And there they go. Well, Close Call can get them back going, and put yourself back into position to build them back up. So it is kind of a panic button, but at a 5 gold, 6 reserve, draw a card panic button, I like it for this deck. Confiscation. Now, the original version of this deck ran 2 Confiscation because I was so paranoid about getting my big characters controlled. But I found that 2 was too many. 1 too many, to be precise. And at 1 Confiscation, it felt like I could deal with negative attachments, even when playing against like Martel and they were playing icon removal. With my kind of icon adders, I think it kind of evens out the icon removal one, so it's the other attachments that I really have to worry about. The Cravens, the Marriage Pacts, the things that really just shut down my big guys. So Confiscation needs to be in there. Oh, and then my favorite plot in the whole game. Power Behind the Throne. No one else's favorite, I know, but I love this card. I love it. The fact that anyone can get that extra stand, and in this deck, stand is great. It's an extra save from Aemon. I like using it on Ilyn Payne when he's out there and getting 2 kills in marshalling with Ilyn before you even started trying to really remove their board during the challenge phase. You can use it to keep Gregor rolling, to keep Jon rolling. It's got so many great uses in this deck. I know the stats are not great, but the stand token is baller, and I love it.
Sorry, I had to lay down there real quick when you started talking about Power Behind the Throne on Sir Ilan in the marshalling phase.
One day, if I ever design anything, it'll be a card that makes power even better. Something with stand tokens. The phrase stand token will be on a card design if I ever get it. Summons, obviously, if you're just getting terrible draws and you're not seeing Jon and you're not seeing Gregor and you're just seeing a lot of your little guys, like Pip and Gren are not going to do it on their own. They're going to need those support pieces. So Summons is there to help even out that variance. Trading, just in case you don't have your economy really set up, but it also just lets you get out a big guy and other stuff. So trading's in there. Pretty obvious, right? 10 gold, it works. And Valor, the deck is really versatile to a reset, so I want to play Valor. I want to keep small boards. Now, let's talk about resets for a second, and then I'll be done, and I'll let Buzz kind of take it away with his deck. This really wasn't a Valor Morghulis deck, and I don't want it to be a Valor Morghulis deck, but I don't have access to Valar Dohaeris yet. This deck really wants to be Valar Dohaeris. Its built-in cannot be saved is amazing, and I think I would change a few things around in the kind of Valar Dohaeris meta. But in thinking about the way that plot's going to change the game, I thought it might enable kind of Voltron-y decks, because it really hurts the big swath of big guys, right? Lannister, when they've got Gregor, Tywin, Jaime, Tyrion, Cersei, and they're all out on the table, Valar Dohaeris will explode that board. But a board that's like Gregor, Gilly, and a one-person, a one-cost reducer, if that's what I'm left with, I'm fine with that. Because I can build that back up, and my big character is still rolling, and the pieces are designed to support that character.
Yeah, because your gold and card investment are going into attachments, which are unaffected by that plot.
Right.
Whereas in Valor, they would, Valar Morghulis, that is, they'd go away. So
Right.
building your character tall instead of wide is a great way to leverage Valar Dohaeris.
Right.
I agree.
Now, we don't have it yet, so I'm not playing with it. But I'm excited to see if this kind of deck gets better. Right now, I would call it a decent deck, like a fun deck that can win. That can win pretty consistently. But I think Valar Dohaeris might catapult it up into the, let's say, like, just outside of top tier competitive. I think it can be a really competitive deck with that reset that's going to go in your favor 9 times out of 10. Whereas Valor, if you're careful with it, it's usually going to end up in your favor, but not always. Even in a deck like this, Valor, if your opponent is just got a board full of saves, even then Valor is not going to pay a lot of dividends. Whereas Valar Dohaeris will always pay those dividends you want when you've got your big guy and 1 or 2 little support pieces. All right, so there's the deck, and I think in talking about it, you guys got all the strategy. So let's jump.
Can I ask you just a couple questions about some individual card choices?
Oh, yeah, let's
just
do
for
it.
fun. So I noticed that you do not have any Craster.
No Craster, that's true.
Did you consider him in there?
I did consider him, but he is kind of expensive at 5. He's a pretty big tempo hit when I just want to kind of focus on getting big guys, supporting big guys. Like if I'm going to play a character that's not one of my big guys, I want them to either be supporting, be really cheap, or doing something on the board, whereas Craster doesn't really do anything on the board, right?
Yeah, it's just the Valor Shield.
Yeah, he's a Valor Shield, but I feel like I've got enough Valor Shield. Now, maybe that's hubris. It may be hubris.
I think between Eerie and Maester Aemon, because I was also wondering, did you consider the 5-cost Maester Aemon in the deck?
I did. I looked at him, but I thought having an extra way to save Gregor besides dupes, besides bodyguards, and besides Eerie, maybe that's a little too much redundancy. But I don't know. I'm not sure you can have too much redundancy in a Voltron deck, right?
No, I would probably agree with that. Although we'll stretch that. I can't think of the name. We'll stretch that proposition when we look at my deck here in a second.
We will.
And then no Tyrion Lannister.
No Tyrion. Now, that could be admittedly a mistake because Tyrion is so good. But you'll notice I also cut events from this deck. So gold in the challenge phase is not actually helping me anywhere. Anywhere in this deck. So
I mean,
don't
literally
need the
only
gold.
your burned men.
Right.
is
I
the-
guess you're right. You're
yeah.
right. I did forget about the burn men. And honestly, the burn men are just there. You know that feeling when you're looking at the board and you're like, boy, I think if my opponent plays Varys this turn, I'm going to lose. And that happens a lot these days because Varys is in vogue again. So burn men are just there for when that Spidey sense hits, and I'm like, they're gonna drop in a Varys either now or with the last of the giants, and I'm gonna be screwed the next turn because I'm gonna have Gregor get marched, right? So the burn men are just there so that when I'm smart enough, I'll save my 2 gold and drop them in like the standing phase. And be cool against March. Like, that's what they're there for. So that, and also Lancel gets kind of turned off if I've got both Tyrion and Gregor out there. So then everyone's probably thinking, yeah, Sid, but Tyrion's a lot better than Lancel. And he is. I know he is. But I really wanted to kind of focus on the Gregor John, and Lancel supports that a little bit more. Definitely, there's probably space for Tyrion in this deck.
I actually think what you've done is correct there for those reasons. He's not really fueling anything, and he doesn't support Gregor. He's not cheap. He's just another stealth in the challenge pushing, which is not really this deck's problem. So
right, yeah, pushing through something. I'll get some stealth. Most of the time, it'll be through brute force with Gregor, stealth with John. I'm not sure Tyrion gives enough for a reason to play him. I could be wrong, though. I've been wrong before.
As we flip over to my deck, you'll
Here we
see
go.
that I don't have Tyrion either.
Good. Overrated. The only cast you'll ever hear, Tyrion Lannister, Corset, totally overrated. So let's talk about this. This is not a Night's Watch deck. It's a Lannister deck.
So you challenged me to create my own version of a Voltron, and I thought about a couple of different ways to pull. And since yours, I think, is kind of that quintessential single character super Voltron, I wanted to see what if we did a less high ceiling per character, but we had more options in the deck. So sell out a little bit less into the Gregor in particular, but gave me 5 options. And then when your Gregor gets built, he's bigger, but I have a little bit more width and redundancy.
Right.
So it's kind of a little bit of a different way to build super character. And so when you build super character, as you were saying, one of the ways you want to leverage that is using them as often as possible with a lot of stand effects. And the best way to get stand effects in the game probably is Banner Dragon.
I agree.
And so Banner Dragon's in here. So I've got 3 Magister Illyrio, 3 Plaza of Pride, 2 Shirek Kia,
yeah.
which is amazing. And Sir Barristan is a little bit of stand as well. I've got 1 Quaith just for the same reason you were talking about Burnman earlier. Obviously not for the Voltron, and 3 Target Loyalist. So we'll see. This is less refined than your version, Lucas, so we may end up trimming a card here or there, but those Targ cards are chosen for their ability to make my Lannister cards better. Illyrio for the stand, Plaza of Pride for the stand, Shirek Kia for the stand, over and over again. It's not too dissimilar from Chris Schoenthal's Gen Con deck last year.
Right.
Lanny Banner stand.
But you've really gone for the stand effects rather than like the extra kill effects, right? That deck focused on in order to clear a board.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to probably win through Renown or Power Grab. And so for that reason, we've got 2 Relentless Assaults for extra challenge, Shirek Kia to stand after the challenge, and 2 Council Consents. We'll talk about that in a second, because that card has never been seen before ever. So looking at our character base real quick, so we've got 3 lines of Casterly Rock Cersei, and she, I think, is actually underrated. I know everybody thinks she's very good, but the speed that she provides you is quite a lot. Now, if you can get, I would love to find a way to squeeze in a Casterly Rock here to let us do the extra intrigue challenges, but even with Relentless Assault, she goes fast.
And she's destroying your opponent's hand while she does it. Yeah, she's incredible. I agree.
Very, very good card. One of the best cards in Lannister, I think. Grandmaster Purcell's in here for his small council trait, as well as
Absolutely.
his insight, because we'll talk about council consents in a second. Lannisport Guard is, I think, a very good chud. When you're marshaling him, each player draws a card, and in a Voltron-type deck, you just need that card advantage to accumulate your pieces.
Right.
And you're saying to your opponent, what I'm drawing is better than what you're drawing,
Mhm.
and so that benefits the better deck builder, a.k.a. us. And,
That's right.
And with effects like Cersei, you want to strip those cards out of hand before they become a problem. So it's I really like that card. 2 cost, 2 strength, chud, and he draws you cards. What's not to love? Littlefinger's in there, just for the card draw. 3 Gregors, 3 Jamies, 1 Kevin.
Let's talk. Why Kevin now? Why do you think he's in there for a one up?
So a 1-up, and there's 2 main reasons. Number 1, he's a small council trait, so he'll work with our
True.
council consents, but mainly he gives Voltron redundancy to our attachments. So after I marshal him, I can put a Lannister neutral location or attachment back into play. So you can do things like discard a seal of the hand to reserve early, knowing that you can Kevin it back later. If somebody confiscates your noble lineage off Gregor, or even Maester Crescents him off, you can use Kevin to get that back.
Nice.
And I just like that little bit of redundancy. And so whereas you chose Sir Ilyn for the extra destruction in the marshalling phase, I chose Kevin to kind of keep my pieces glued together a little bit.
Like it.
Osman Kettleblack, I'm probably going to end up cutting him. We'll talk about changes in a second, but I just thought, Osman will be great to discard a gold from him and put a knight into play, especially like Jaime with Relentless Assault, but that's not really what the deck is doing, is jumping. So he'll probably come out. 2 Hounds is a habit. They'll probably come out as well.
That was tough to cut my own hounds, because you just when you can, you want to play hound, but in looking at the decks, you really don't want to be jumping all around. You want to stabilize that board with your big guys and go for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I've got 1 Tickler, 1 Tommen, we'll talk about why in a second, and then 3 of the Lions of Casterly Rock Tywin.
Small council.
Small council trait, and also I'm kind of bored of Big Tywin. You could easily make a case that 7-cost Tywin's better for the deck, but this Tywin does 2 things. Number 1 is curves your overall deck lower, which is a little bit odd to say when the other Tywin adds gold, but even for setup purposes and just that emergency button when you need somebody out, that 2 gold is significant difference. And if we're trying to leverage Gregor and the Tickler and people like that, he will help you do that better than anything else.
Tywin plus Gregor is, your opponent's going to be knocking their knees together in fear. It's a scary thing to look at those 2 and go, oh my gosh, they're just going to be able to pick.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Also, Tywin is a little bit easier to stand with your Plaza of Pride. He has a wider range of options.
Yep.
My attachment suite is a similar-ish to yours, less the Night's Watch stuff. I went ahead for 3 appointed, 3 noble lineage instead of the 2/2 because I think appointed, for me, has a couple better width of targets than your deck does, because I would love to see that on Sir Barristan. I'd love to see that a couple of different places, including Gregor. And when you need it, you need it. Noble lineage is the same. I could put that on Jaime or Gregor and be pretty happy. Even something like a Lannisport merchant on setup, or excuse me, a Lannisport guard, you're pretty happy with that. 2 seals of the hand for the stand, and then 1 of the Boy King. I love this card.
Yeah.
A little bit of acceleration, and so it wants to find a lord, and that's why Tommen's in the deck is a low-cost lord for this, as well as just his little tiny benefit that he has. And Lannister also actually hurts quite bad for low-cost power icons, so Tommen's in there for that reason.
Now, was there any thought to including Ilyn Payne to go with your Boy King? Seems like a pretty good combo, right?
All right, let's get through the rest of the deck, and we'll come back and we can add some of those adds. Because probably we'll need to put Ilyn in here somewhere. So 3 Great Halls, 3 Rose Road, 3 Fiefdoms for Econ, and 3 Plaza of Pride. And this is, as we're talking, I'm realizing that's a fantastic card with Ilyn in the marshalling phase.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So why don't you Plaza of Pride, discard a seal of the hand to stand Ilyn, kill something else, marshal your Sir Kevin, and get that seal of the hand back.
Oh, and then on your Power Behind the Throne turn, use him 3 times. Oh, God, it's gross.
So we'll adjust that character base here in a second.
Okay.
On the plot phase, you went for a stability and redundancy, and I went for kind of a little bit of a different approach. But let's see if you can talk me into some changes. So I did close call, same as you. Those, excuse me, those important uniques, you got to keep them out of the dead pile. 1x confiscation, we already talked about that. 1x name day turning.
Name day, I like it.
So in Voltrons, you do tend to win a lot of challenges attacking and defending alone, and then you get the Lord or Lady you control and have it gain a power. This may not be like the best plot that this deck has ever seen, but one thing I like about building outside of the box decks is you get to use more cards than you do in like tournament play.
Right.
And if ever there was a spot for name day tourney, it's a deck like this. I want to win with Gregor on his own, and then I want Gregor to claim a power.
Yeah.
For doing so, kind of double renown.
Double renown.
And one of the things with Voltron is, can you close before they reset you into Oblivion?
Right.
Name Day Tourney gives you that little bit of juice to try to do that. Power behind the, and then the 5-4-1-5 is actually a pretty good stat line. Power behind the throne to stand and just to celebrate. Senor Sedlasky. Retaliation. I would listen to arguments on this one, but sometimes you want a 2 claim in an aggressive deck like this.
Yeah.
Nothing is better than Sir Barristan with a intrigue icon on a retaliation turn, and you're just owning people.
Yeah.
Trading with the Pentoshi, easy econ button, we talked about that, and then Varys Riddle for the 5-6-1-7 base line, and you can riddle somebody's coppers, riddle their march, riddle. I mean, everybody loves Riddle, right?
It's great. I love Riddle. All right, so let's see if we can crack that that Ilyn pain, because I think Ilyn with power behind the throne and with Plaza of Pride, it's just too good. You know, you can isolate a character in marshalling by using Ilyn just to chomp through them, right? Heads on blocks.
I guess that's true. So one thing I don't love about this particular version is that it's 62 cards, and I don't mind going over 60, and sometimes some people just, their blood starts boiling. But in a Voltron deck, when you're assembling pieces, it really is best to try to keep it as close to 60 as possible.
I agree.
So we need to -3 cards, add 1 Ilyn. So immediately I'm looking at my Osman Kettle Black. I think he's got to go to 0 because it's just not a jumpy deck.
Let's drop him to 0.
So let me push edit and do this properly.
Let's see where else you have.
I'd like to maybe axe those 2 hounds for just the reason that we were talking about.
I think that's a fair idea right there. All right, well, that gave us some slots for sure. So how many Ilyn?
I'm still looking at the character base and seeing, can I shave any tighter anywhere else? Because there's a couple other of those pillage Lannister cards that you may not be too sad seeing in this Tywin deck.
True.
But they don't really push your win condition. All they do is get like a self-stand out of themselves. So I'm not going to
like Gregor's Marauders.
Gregor's Marauders would be one, and then there's, is there one more that triggers off pillage, or am I thinking of a Greyjoy card?
Probably a Greyjoy card.
No.
Oh, well, no, there is one. Polliver, right?
Polliver.
But I don't know if those guys are really helping you.
Who cares?
Yeah. You want to keep your beefy big boys going. What do you think? 1 or 2 Ilyn?
Let's do 1 Ilyn for now.
Okay.
And then, do we want to try to find a spot for 2 burned men? Is my next question. We could probably lose Ser Jorah, because I think I'm above the minimum threshold there.
Ser Jorah.
3, 6, 8, 11, 12, 13. So I got 14 target cards. So we could lose Ser Jorah for one of them. I probably wouldn't lose Quaithe for another. And Tommen would be the other one that we could lose.
I like Quaithe because she can stop those little chump ones. Tommen. Yeah, I mean, I like his trait. It's cool to have a king out there, but I could see dropping Tommen and Quaithe for 2 burn men. I could
Tommen and Quaithe, or Tommen and Jorah?
Ooh. I mean, Jorah's a better character than Quaithe, right? Come on.
But she's another ambush.
True.
So that'd give us 3 ambush cards.
Okay.
Let's see. Jorah's not even a lord or a lady,
But he's
so
a
he doesn't.
knight. Gives
So
you a
he
little
works
name
with
day
name day
turning.
turning.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear. All
And
right.
renown. And renown. He speeds you up. I think he's good. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So we'll go 0, 0 Tommen.
well, what if we just add the 2 burn men? All right, that puts you back to 62. And do you really think you need 3 appointed?
I like appointed because we forgot to talk about my irrational love for the council consents.
It is good.
After a player wins an intrigue challenge by 5 or more, stand the small council character. So you could put it even on a character that has an intrigue icon already,
Just to get
to give them the trait
2
so that you get the
characters can
stand.
stand right back up, maybe. Yeah.
Now, and also whereas your deck had a little bit more ways to give icons and manipulation and multi-use, this deck doesn't. It relies on pretty heavily on its neutral attachments.
Right, and it's going to need to draw those because you don't have like a building orders or something to hunt one down. All right, you've convinced me. So that puts us back at 62. So if we're cutting characters, let's cut Tommen, right? Tommen, that puts us at 61.
He is actually pretty okay with appointed on setup, but again, we've got to make a cut somewhere.
Yeah. All right, so who else? Somebody else, or are you okay with 61?
Let's do 61.
Okay. Save it.
And then, did you see any obvious changes we needed to make there in the plot deck?
Well, you're not running a reset. Do we want to talk about the risk of that?
Yep. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to immediately drop Retaliation and add it, and add the first Snow of Winter.
Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. I mean, you've got so many big guys that, not so many, but enough to where first Snow, you should come ahead in first Snow quite a bit.
And then, your opinion. So I'm not running any Eerie, and I'm not running any bodyguards.
Right.
Should that change?
I mean, you have a lot of dupes. You're susceptible to a bad luck valor, as I like to call it, right? Your deck has enough dupes, and if you play carefully and don't drop a really important character, like I wouldn't drop like Gregor unless I had some kind of protection for him, like a dupe, some way to kind of keep him in good shape. I don't know. You could get an unlucky Valor, kind of just not see the dupes that you need. I could see a lot of saves and just kind of crush a board real quick,
All right, so I am dropping 1 appointed there, and I'm going to drop this Littlefinger. Oh, but he's a small council. Oh, no, I can't do that.
And he's draw. This deck doesn't have a lot of draw. You want some draw.
Oh, it's true.
Plaza Pride is just too good to run less than 3 of. Are you looking for a way to put some bodyguards in?
Yeah, I want 2 bodyguards. Should it be the noble lineage? Yeah, probably should.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, if I was trying to put in 2 bodyguards, I would drop 1 appointed and 1 lineage.
All right, let's try that.
Okay. I really do think 2 and 2 is okay. You have so many native intrigue icons. I know the appointed gives a small council, but as you said, there's quite a few small council in here.
Okay. Now it's time to face off on the field of battle. But let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Are we just going to devolve into who draws Gregor first?
I don't think so. I think the decks deserve a little bit more credit than that. I really do.
Okay. All right.
I think it could be interesting. Let's go for it.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
Okay, let me see here. Ooh, that's not really the start you want to see. No econ. I guess that's why they made mulligans.
So I have no econs, but I have 2 Gregors and a pointed and 2 Tywins, and I'm tempted to keep it, but
ooh, I already mulliganed. But this is better. Not ideal, actually, but better. I could go. No. Oy vey. Well, it is what it is, right? 2 cards. Four. Nice. And that's odd because I have a ton of one-cost characters in this deck. 9 to be precise. I didn't see a single one in the original or the drawback. Oh, nice. Plaza. Okay. We'll see how this goes. See, this could be an interesting game here.
It could be.
All right.
Indeed.
How to open this up? I think that's good. I think we start with this.
I think we start with this.
Okay.
I have a 1 out of 7 of backfiring.
Hey, good job.
I'll let you play first.
All right. Let's go ahead and do your summons first. Why not? Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, so many interesting things. Oh, I'm gonna take that one.
Okay. Oh, Maester Aemon.
Yep. Feels good when I only have one character on the board and he's Night's Watch.
I think I'll take this guy.
Okay, here we go. 4 gold. Well, give me 2 more gold. Thank you very much. Well, let's do that. Let's get him out there. Because I like him so much. Boy, 3 to go. Options here are limited right now. Not gonna lie. Let's do that. And be done.
Okay, so we'll do that. Do that. And then we'll do that. And we'll do that.
Gregor!
And we'll do that.
Dupe Gregor!
Do that.
Oh, yes. Noble lineage, too. Oh, you're living the dream already.
And then we'll be done.
Let's see. Trying to force the military. I think that'd be good. Even if it's just a dupe that we get rid of. Or you just defend. I can be able to come back with military easily, though. Anything to kind of reduce your challenges a little bit, I think, is good. 6, 7. Well, boo hoo.
Yeah, that stand banner is coming in handy here.
Yeah, your stand is legit. I'd really like you to use it and not use it on Gregor. I think I'm gonna do that. Do that. Military challenge.
All right. Oh. Ooh.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
I forgot for a second that you ambushing in the burn men would mean that I no longer have fewer cards in my hand than you. So let's do this.
Gregor defense. Oh, both of them defense?
Uh-huh.
Ooh, what's going on here? Oh, you're gonna ditch a card here somehow? 4, 5, 6. What have you got? Oh, wait a minute. I know what you're doing. Plaza of Pride ditch. Stan Gregor. And then you'll win and Stan Barristan. Well played. Well played. But the plaza was used. That matters. Oh, and thank God I didn't have to use. Oh, I could use that power icon though.
Imagine if there was a way to get Barristan renown. I don't believe there is. But Barristan with like breaker of chain, some sort of like renown thing. That's that.
I gotta be done. Everything else, you just stand. Go for it. That's a great little combo. Plaza Pride, stand him, get you below, stand sell me. Beauty. Military challenge with both.
Yeah, Selmy was actually on the fence for me when we're looking for cuts because you'll tend as Lannister to have more cards in hand. But the combination between the draw and situations like this early game, I thought, well, let's try them out.
Right. Get your Selmy stand. Claim. Alright, what'd you get? Ooh. Ooh, that hurts.
So you killed the burn man just for this exact reason.
Yeah, definitely. That hurts, though, to lose Gren like that. I like Gren.
You're talking like a person that thinks pillage on its own is a good ability. Don't do that.
No, but throwing characters into the dead pile is a good ability. Oh, there should be a limit on Barristan, right? No? Okay. That's going to put you at like 3 power?
Well, the problem is, in a way, that like you didn't have any power on your house card to steal, so most of the just didn't do anything.
Renown and unopposed. Well, no unopposed. Renown and Dom. All right, let me see here. So what you don't know is that I slipped Blackwater, Battle of Blackwater into my deck. No, I didn't. I totally didn't.
That's a good plot. Battle of Blackwater.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
I feel like they generally underpower those silver bullety type plots. Things like, where did that Great Hall come from?
Right.
When did you marshal that Great Hall?
Oh, first round.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
Flopped Vault,
like,
Great Hall, and then reduced.
Or like the political disaster just seemed to be, in general, like a tad underpowered. But Blackwater, I think, got it pretty correct, like with the combination of initiative, gold, reserve, in effect.
Well, these are not what I was looking for. Hoping for a Craven there. That's interesting.
Yeah, and here for Snow, if I can pull Aemon back to your hand and your chumps, and then really let my military claim hurt, I think I can get advantage here.
What I'm going to grab is not going to let it hurt quite as bad. Hopefully.
Is it the milk of El Papi?
Oh, no, Eerie. Protection. All right. With my 4 gold.
Spend them all on an Eerie.
That's there's an Eerie. There's a dupe on the Eerie. And I can't spend anything else due to first snow. Oh. Oh, done.
The shield of Lannisport himself.
Ooh, you know what? I could have gotten Jon Snow out that turn. Let's see if Jon and Corrin. I don't think that would have been enough because he would have won the mill, and I have no way to save him. Yeah, I don't think think I want to play one of my big guys when they're in that much trouble. Ooh, and a dupe on Tywin. Oh, Tywin Gregor. Here they come. Yeah. Eerie. Save for life. Well. 4, 5, 4. You'll be able to do that. Stand. Yeah, it'll just give you more renown.
Alright, so first things first.
Intrigue. Now, see, this is the scenario where I'm like, oh, this really is a Valar Dohaeris deck. It would be so good.
I mean, it would be amazing.
Though you could keep Barristan and Tywin. You might not want to with Gregor all beefed up, but you could. Yeah.
Just Gregor?
You're right. Just Gregor would be scary.
Okay. Now let's see. Let's do a power challenge here.
Let's go with... and oof, Barristan's so good. Yes. Econ. Oh, you dirty dog.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm trying to figure out if I want to stand Gregor or not. I'm gonna try to just kill Jon Snow. I think that's probably what I need to do. So let's see. So I haven't done my military yet.
Right. Yeah, you want to keep going. You want to get that power.
Mercy!
Just flowing. Voltron waits for no man.
Let's apply some claim. So we're going to interrupt Gregor's pillage with Tywin.
Yep.
And pillage that guy.
Oh, Tickler!
And we'll be done.
Okay. Alright. Gotta discard some cards.
Yeah, and here's where Big Cersei is great on like the first snow turn.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Not only is it like a double challenge, but then you get the power from like reserve. So you said that it's not just about who draws Gregor first.
Well, yeah, you're right. That's big. Well, I haven't drawn, I mean, I don't know. I've got 40 cards left, and I haven't seen a Craven. And that kind of hurts. And I finally saw some cheap guys right when you first knowed. Like, if I could have gotten a Craven, you probably would have had to play the Confiscation. Then that kind of changes the flow. Cravens help a lot in this deck. I'm gonna do here.
I'm surprised that the best control card in the game is helpful for a deck. But
Yeah, right?
I think it'll work for it.
Let's see. That could help. No. Discard that.
I don't know who's MVP or Barristan or Gregor right now.
I know, right? Oh yeah, name day journey.
Did you just?
Alright, I'm gonna make you go first. Heck yeah.
You made me first.
I can't let him go on 2 challenges. Let's see. Okay, that works. No, pass. 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 Oof. See. So good.
Can't swing in it with a military challenge with like John. That would hurt. So I will go ahead and play Claim Soak.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay. Let's get some more gold. Let's do. That versus that. That. That.
What?
That. This is not gonna be good though. That there. Okay, done. Yeah, let's do that on that.
Your own Gregor.
Yeah. You're already to 8 though. That's so fast. 2 challenges in. Intrigue. That's for 11. Yeah. Just gonna have to let you go for it.
So we'll play.
Ooh! Relentless Assault! Cersei again?
Discarded Builder, so I'll play Cersei. And I'll interrupt.
8, 9, 10.
Go with Cersei here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Get that second intrigue.
A lot of decisions.
Yeah.
Like going into the Gregor wall.
Might have to, because let me think here. You'll get the stand on Barristan with your Gregor if you attack, or you just defend, and then I can't win. Although I could if I go both. You know what? I think I need to defend. I mean, I'm kind of living on a prayer here. I need a lucky Gregor trigger to try and pop one of these dupes to make a reset even doable. So let's do that.
So you won. Ooh, Tywin looks at my own deck.
Oh, does he? Oh, he does, doesn't he? From a
Tywin.
player's deck. Oh, I forgot about that. Or didn't even realize that. That's super good protection. 2 7-cost characters, please. 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 Or a 7 and a 5. Quaith! Bummer. Alright, still you. Was there a better option? Tell me now. Please tell me. A better one for me?
No.
Okay. Dang, now Gregor's never gonna get through. Okay. What'd you just do? Military? Oh, where's my beef? Done. Oh wait. Let's just pretend he's defending.
Okay, so I'll take away my 1 for unopposed.
Yeah. Since I'm gonna lose it anyways.
So I'm gonna react with named attorney.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let Gregor claim that power.
Gross.
We're gonna apply that claim.
Yep.
And then we're gonna react with Tywin. But I already saw what's on top of your deck when I pillaged Craven. And it's this guy.
Ooh. Ooh. Could have used him. 2 in the discard pile. Pass. Oh, and Craven too.
Okay, so then I gotta take 1 away because you actually opposed it.
Right.
Is that right?
12.
Yeah. But then because of named attorney, OP,
So OP.
I'm gonna lock it up here.
That's game, yeah. Well, that was quick. That was real quick.
So we'll react there. So named attorney. Okay.
Named attorney, super boss. Boom. And you're dumb.
And then yeah, my dom.
Ugh. Gross. Gross. Steamrolled. 15-1.
It's a shabby. It's a shabby. It's a shabby, shabby show. It's a shabby.